My boss fired me for being too expensive after 18 years leading the engineering team. 18 years. That's how long I'd worked at Rainier Dynamics, a mid-sized manufacturing firm in Portland. I started there when flip phones were still cool. I'd led the engineering department through 3 product lines, countless trade shows, and more late-night plant emergencies than I can count. My gray hairs were practically stamped with the company logo. So when I got a mandatory meeting invite with HR at 3:15 p.m. sharp last Tuesday, my guts sank. The conference room smelled faintly of toner and stale donuts. Across the table sat my boss, Greg, smirking like he'd already rehearsed this moment. "Tom," he said, lacing his fingers, "you've done great work, but frankly, you're too expensive. For your salary, I can bring in 3 junior engineers. Nothing personal." I kept my face neutral, even as Jenna from HR slid the severance packet toward me like it was a slice of day-old pizza. "Of course," I said softly. "I understand." I packed my box that evening with my cracked coffee mug, a faded photo of my son at Little League, and the mechanical pencil I'd used since my first patent drawing. Greg didn't even look up when I walked past his office. What Greg didn't know was that I'd been preparing for this. 2 years earlier, after one too many ignored safety warnings, I quietly registered my own consultancy, Cascade Systems LLC. I didn't advertise it. I just took on small side projects, fixing other companies' production bottlenecks, patching overlooked design flaws. My hobby had grown into a tidy little operation with 3 loyal freelancers who valued precision over politics. That night, as I dropped the box onto my kitchen table, my phone buzzed. A text from my partner in Cascade. "It happened?" I replied. "Exactly as expected. He said I was too expensive." She wrote back, "His loss. Ours to gain." By Thursday morning, the fallout began. One of Rainier's biggest clients, an auto parts supplier in Detroit, called me directly. "Tom, we hear you're not with Rainier anymore." "That's a shame. Listen, those design tolerances you warned Greg about, the ones he swore were fine, we just had a part failure on the line. Can you help?" I still had the emails, screenshots, and time-stamped memos proving I'd flagged the issue a year ago. My stomach dropped when I read them again. Greg had dismissed me with, "You're being dramatic. It's not a big deal." Now it was a multi-million-dollar problem. Within a day, Cascade Systems had its first major contract, and not just any contract, the same client Greg had been banking on for Rainier's next quarter. By Friday, my phone lit up non-stop. Greg called me 6 times before 9 a.m. I didn't answer. At 10:42 a.m., I got a desperate voicemail. "Tom, buddy, I don't know what's happening, but we need your help. Clients are pulling out. Please, let's talk." I set the phone down and sipped my coffee. Because here's what he didn't realize. Cascade had already signed not 1 but 2 of Rainier's largest accounts. Their condition was simple. "We want nothing to do with Greg." Remember when he said, "We can get 3 juniors for your salary"? Ironically, 2 of those juniors had already reached out to me, asking if Cascade had openings. One even showed up with a resume and a shaky voice. Greg told me to fudge inspection reports. I can't do that. The real climax hit Monday morning. The local business journal ran a headline. "Rainier Dynamics loses key contracts amid safety concerns. CEO under fire." Inside the boardroom, Greg tried to spin it as sabotage, but I'd sent the board a neatly organized folder of every memo, warning, and rejected upgrade request I'd filed over the last 3 years. At exactly 11 a.m., Greg was voted out as CEO. A contact from inside messaged me. He stormed out red-faced. Security had to escort him. Now, Cascade Systems has grown faster than I ever imagined. We moved into a small office downtown, nothing flashy, just clean desks, humming equipment, and a team that respects each other. Meanwhile, Rainier Dynamics, they're bleeding contracts, struggling to survive. Greg, last I heard, is consulting on LinkedIn under some vague title, pretending the collapse wasn't his doing. Sometimes I drive past Rainier's old building, see the empty parking lot, and smile, because the man who said I was too expensive never realized I was the only thing keeping his empire from crumbling, and when the bill came due, he couldn't afford me.